আকাশবাণী কলকাতা। স্থানীয় সংবাদ পড়ছি দেবদুলাল বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায়। গতকাল রাত থেকে কলকাতা এবং পার্শ্ববর্তী অঞ্চলে প্রবল বর্ষণে বন্যার পরিস্থিতি দেখা দিয়েছে।
কোচবিহার ও জলপাইগুড়ি জেলায় মোট 154 জনের প্রাণহানি।
আমি তোমার প্রেমে হব সবার কলঙ্ক ভাগী.
أهلا بكم في شارع سان جيرمان دي بري بباريس بنسبة مهرجان السينما للأفلام من ساوث آسيا. هذه ثالث سنة للساوث آسيان Alternative Film Festival، ونحن اليوم مع بودايان مukherjee مخرج الفيلم تينكاهون والبروديوسر موناليزا مukherjee. Thank you for being with us in Paris for these 2 days of screenings.
Our pleasure.
So what was your experience so far with the French audience?
When I started making this film, I think one of the dreams that I've had was to actually take it to Paris and play it in front of the French audience, because to my mind I think the most learned and discerning audience would be the French audience. So that was a dream, and also the biggest challenge, because I absolutely dread Q&As. But over the last 2 days, I think it has been absolutely wonderful. We have had some lovely soul-stirring conversations with them. People have come up and asked a lot of interesting questions. There have been new point of views I have discovered, which I have not discovered elsewhere.
What are you thinking of?
What am I thinking of? I think it has been a completely enlightening experience. I'll go back with a broader mind, I will say, and thanks to the French audience.
So your film is based on 3 stories, 3 love stories, and each story has its own different style. So what were your inspirations?
I had to make a showreel of mine. This is my first film. So I had to make a film which possibly told the world that I can handle tragedy, I can handle comedy, I can also handle drama. So in a way it was creating a showreel for future films. But jokes aside, I think what we ended up doing is that we stumbled upon the second story first. Then we realized that it will never be a full-fledged, full-length feature film. It will possibly be a 40-minute. So then we said that, are we interested in making only one 40-minute film, or do we try to look at a structure which will give us a full-length feature? That's when we came across the second, the first story, which again would have been a 45-50-minute film. Then we said that, okay, if we have a 1920 story which begins in 1954 and we have a 1978 story, why don't we have another story which is 2013? That's how the third story came in. And together it kind of traced a lot of things, including the degradation of morality, the pollution of the spoken language, how obsessive relationships have changed in the Bengali life over the last 100 years. So it was a journey.
The process of cinema.
Correct. And it was also kind of a tribute to 100 years of Indian filmmaking for us. So in one project we were pushing ourselves to achieve a lot of things.
আমার বয়স তখন 8। ভালোবাসার সেই সূত্রপাত। স্বজনহীন মেয়েকে ভালোবাসার নামে যে ব্যবহার করে সে আর যাই হোক দায়িত্ববান নয়।
কত চান?
আপনি তার শরীরটাকে নিয়ে দিনের পর দিন চিনিমিনি খেলেছেন। সারা পঞ্চত মৌয়া বেশ্যা ছিল না।
Yeah, how did you recreate all these different atmospheres in different times? I think, Mona, you played an important role in that.
Any film, I think the costume and art, apart from the cinematography, bring in a lot of period information. So we talking about the first story, which was set in 1920s. We had to look for a village which had yet no electricity wires going, which had no signs of modern day. So we had to do a lot of location hunt. I would say unfortunately. Why? Because unfortunate that those part of villages still do not have electricity in India, so it's unfortunate, but it worked for our story. So we found we shot them over 12 villages in the outskirts of West Bengal. So
And what about the costumes?
So costumes, yes, because I went through a lot of cinema documentation, but I could not find anything which would speak realistically about the 1920s rural days.
Yeah.
So the only thing was to do then to meet relatives, especially his relatives, who are the grandparents, great grandparents, asking them what they wore, how the vessels were, the plates, what kind of bangles they wore, did they wear churi, did they wear bindis or not. So I discovered a lot of things, so we implanted all of that. So I traveled to a very interior place in West Bengal to acquire those saris, which we used.
So you managed to find?
Yes, I managed to find. A lot of things haven't changed in the rural life. It's just little bit tweaking has happened here and there, but most of the things are there. The big benefit was it was in black and white, so a lot of things were easier doing in black.
Also, taking her what Mona said, I think Bengal till now is in a time warp. So if you are looking at creating period pieces, Bengal is the right place, because not much development has happened in that state. As Mona said, it's unfortunate, but it's fortunate for a filmmaker. So in a way it worked for us. For the 1978 story, the kind of houses we were looking for and the kind of streets we were looking for, it looked exactly the way they looked 30 years back. So Calcutta and Bengal has been in a time warp. Time had stood still over centuries there. And so if you are looking for a period piece, I think that's the city to go back to.
Also, our production designer, Mr. Malay, he has done a fantastic job on the first and second story.
We can feel the Satyajit Ray inspiration.
Yeah, there is. I absolutely can't deny it, and it would be very unfair to deny it. I make films because of him. I've stalked him in my life. I was 11 years old when I read his book, which was memoirs of children's films that he had done. And the day I finished the book, I knew my life had changed. I knew that I have to make films and do nothing else. So while all my friends in college were appearing for their MBAs, I decided to quit economics just the way Satyajit Ray had quit. And I decided to take up advertising just the way he had done. So it has been trying to follow his path. At some point in time, I think my path will take its own course. But to begin with, I'm completely indebted to him. So my first film has been an absolute tribute to whatever I've learned from his films.
You're also husband and wife, and you're the producer of the film. So how did you decide to produce your husband's film?
Well, who will produce if I don't? Because he's a first-time filmmaker. No, jokes apart. So what happened is, he always had this dream to make his first feature, And
in Bengali.
In
That's
Bengali.
Very important.
That's an important point.
Yes, because that's his mother tongue. So he said first tribute to my mother tongue and then any other language. So I thought, see, when in advertising, thankfully now he's created his name that when he directs, nobody really interferes because everybody has full faith in him. So I wanted the similar thing happen in feature, but this was his debut feature. So how do I ensure that if I get a producer from outside, he or she will not interfere or will not keep their point of view? So then I told him that let's produce this ourselves, even if it takes time, because we may not have that much money in one go. We'll do it part by part. But I don't want any interference on the creativity in your work.
And I liked what Mona said. Mona had told me that good, bad, ugly, it should be yours, it should be ours. I think that's a tremendous statement coming from the producer.
That's true,
So good, bad, ugly, it's ours. So we don't have anyone to blame. If someone has to be given a credit, it should be us. If it is discredit, it's us.
How did you approach your work as a producer for this film?
Well, see, I would say that I was a little relaxed on my first film. I was not very harsh, but it's gonna change from the next film. Because see, the first baby, you just go out, go to town and you paint the town red and you want to do this and you want to do that. You don't really care about money, but that cannot be a repetitive.
That's not a benchmark.
That's not a way to go about it. So I was very lenient. I was very kind, but I think I have to be a little. I have to hold back sometimes.
I think also because we have learned from it. I think when you make your first feature, she as a first time producer and me as a first time director, we have both made mistakes. Now if I look at the film, I tell myself that I could have possibly finished it 10 days before my shoot schedule. So it was a 42 day schedule. I could have possibly finished it in 32. So that's where the learning is, in the fact that it's not luxury. Take what is necessary, and necessity is the mother of invention. So think hard and create something within the constraints that's there.
The film has circulated in a lot of festivals. So now you're on a tour, right?
Yes.
My chartered accountant wants to make films because he one day comes and tells me, "Ma'am, your film is traveling so much. I want to make a film also. I want to travel the world." I said, "Okay, welcome."
What was your best experience so far in a festival?
I think the very first one would always be very special because we have never been to any festival before. So the first one, which was the Bridge Film Festival at Kosovo, was very, very special for the simple reason that apart from also being the first one, it also stood for a cause. It was not a mainstream festival. Two warring communities, the Serbians and Albanians, came together to create a festival which would reopen a cinema hall for the first time in 15 years in a war-torn country. And through films, people will cross the bridge which had otherwise been blocked. So I actually saw the power of cinema, and to my mind that has been an absolute wonderful experience. We were rejected in Berlin because of our premiere that has already happened in Kosovo, but no regrets, absolutely no regrets.
It's a historic experience.
Yes, you suddenly realize that you have played your part and you have got this thin chance of getting into history, and we slipped into history.
Yeah, we didn't miss it.
That's nice. And then you were the only ones from India.
Yes, we were the only ones from India.
And you just came from Dubai.
Yes, Dubai had a Bengali film festival. We were one of the 7 films there, and again, a very different experience for the simple reason that for the first time, our Bengali film was being shown to an audience where 90% were Bengalis. So the reaction of audience was very different from reaction of non-Bengali audience to a Bengali film. That way, it was very, very special. Jokes which people were not laughing at elsewhere in the world, and I was always questioning myself that why on earth are people not laughing at this point? For once in Dubai, since it was
A Bengali.
predominantly Bengali audience, they were laughing, and I said, "Wow, so the script works."
What would you like to say to your Arab audience or your audience in the Arab world?
I think to begin with, I would like to come back again. That's the first thing that I would like to say, is that I would definitely like to come back. I've loved the Dubai audience, and my next feature is Hindi, so possibly it will have a little bigger audience to cater to. So I would love to come back.
Well, tell us, what is the next project?
It's called The Violin Play, and yeah, that's about it.
Thank you.
Big suspense then until
until we really go on floor, we should, I think.
Yeah, we are going on floor in April.
Okay.
The work is on as we speak.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
so we will wait till then. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our existence doesn't begin and end with my boobs, SCP Goho.
I was not having sex with her. Is that clear?
Baggage আসছে তুমি কি ভাবো আমি কিছু জানি না how you missed becoming a dad
যাহা পাই তাহা চাই না যাহা চাই তা পেয়েও হারাই